This is Roses Live, brought to you by URY and Bailwig FM.
Welcome to the second Frisbee game of the day. The game has already started, but we will run you through it just very quickly as York score their first point. It is York v Lancaster in indoor mixed Frisbee. We welcome everyone coming from listening on URY, Bailwig FM, or Roses Live on anyone watching the stream as well. It is currently 1-0 to York. York scored on their first offensive point, and now Lancaster will receive the point. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing really, really well. I'm really pumped up given the fact that we just won the women's indoor match, and I believe that York will smash it.
Yeah, I will run you through the Lancaster team quickly, and then Nick can run you through the York team. Number 99, we have Dan. Number 38, we have Ellie. 16, Anya. Number 6, Shauna. 56, Bleak, playing this point, and then off to pitch for this point is number 7, Charlie. Number 11, Adam. Number 25, Laura, and Rebecca as well. Dan is on the disc now, currently in York's half. Reset back to Anya. Anya swings it across to Shauna. Shauna to Dan. No one on the mark currently. Open person in Ellie gets the disc. Up the line to Dan, just outside the end zone. Hammer across to Ben Leake, 1-1.
That's a really good score for Lancaster as well. The fact that he was basically able to quickly run to the other side of the open end zone, which I think that was a really good effort. I'm going to run through the York team quickly. We have, on the line, we have Daisy, who is number 35. Izzy, who is number 16, Chloe, number 57, Ollie, number 8, and Eamon, who is number 103. Other members on the team include Raphael, who is number 102, Hart, who is number 17, Rory, who is number 23. And yeah, that is the York indoor mixed team. Sorry about that. Also including Rebecca Sparks, who's number 15 as well.
Lancaster's Charlie Brayshaw with a big D there. This is his third time competing at Roses. Competing in 4 games this weekend, I believe. Laura has a disc. Oh! And it's York have got the disc back.
Current dispossession is with Chloe. Tries to find the open swing option. Gives it to Ollie. Gives it back to Daisy. Ooh. Daisy caught that little fumble.
Evan with a big run through D on Ollie Newton. Oh, Charlie Brayshaw scubas to Evan in the end zone. 2-1 to Lancaster. Really good zone defense there by Lancaster.
It's a really good tight defense as well. York, you can definitely see that York is struggling to cut through the zone defense. But it's a really good effort.
Yeah, a really good D by Evan and a good D in there by Charlie Brayshaw as well. So that makes it 2-1 to Lancaster. Lancaster get the first break of the game, and York will be on offense for this point now. It looks like Dan Bailey is going to pull. In his spare time, he plays for Solent, and he likes hiking.
Currently on the York's line, we have Rebecca, Ollie, Anna, Rory, and Raph. Back to Ollie. Ollie tries to find the open position, but however swings it to Rebecca. Swings it back to Ollie. Tries to swing it again, however, there was a Lancaster defender right there. Raph trying to find a more open option, try to cut through the zone. It's a really good zone defense by Lancaster, really slowing it down. Unfortunately, York still manages to score with Rory catching the disc.
Yeah, they broke through that Lancaster defence very nicely with some give-goes to start, and then lots of quick passes, which means it's very hard for the zone to get set in the right positions.
You hear the York sidelines really, really impressed with that performance.
Yeah, there is a really good turnout for this. The atmosphere is absolutely electric.
Current score is
2-2.
2-2.
Lancaster are about to receive the disc. Their line for this point is Adam Bleak, the captain, who does boxing in his spare time and has got a mean 1-2 punch. Evan, Arnie, and Laura.
What an amazing pull by the vice captain for the men's team, Raphael Yates, who also plays for a club, which is Leeds.
Lancaster running what seems to be a weave here. There was a tipped pass, but Evan manages to collect it. Hammer down the line, Bleak grabs it. There's been something called on the field, but they keep going. Bleak has the disc. York playing very tight match, looks for Laura again. Back to Bleak. Bleak looks for the shot to the end zone. Adam Page with a big grab and a big spike. It has been called out though, so they are going to talk about it.
Just for anyone who's quite unfamiliar with the game of Frisbee, Frisbee is a non-referee sport, and basically all the players on the court gets to make their own calls and discuss about it. Currently, there's been a call by York saying that it's out of bounds instead of an in. So the players are currently now discussing that, and hopefully they'll come to a conclusion really shortly.
Do you have an opinion on this call, Nick? Because I don't. I have no idea whether or not that was in or out.
I couldn't see where the backleg landed, to be fair.
Yeah, the pitch isn't the best marked out.
Exactly, yeah.
It's very hard to see. It's very hard to tell where the back of the end zone is and where the corner of the end zone is, but it looks like it's been contested, and it is going back to the thrower. So it's not a point, although some Lancaster people on the sideline are saying that it is a point.
This is back to Lancaster.
Bleak on the disc, looks for the deep shot to the end zone.
And there's a good pressure by Isabel.
So York with the turn and a chance to break here.
Currently York with possession with the disc. Little IO throw by Raphael. Chloe is trying to find the option in the end zone, but unfortunately swings it back to Raphael. Swings it to Eamon.
Lancaster with a 1-4 wall here.
And that's a score by York.
But there has been a call for a travel on the field. So the disc will go back and the point won't count. So it's still 2-2. York on Lancaster's end zone line with a very good opportunity to score here.
York's been doing quite well. It's basically not trying to rush into the wall defense and trying to basically swing it around so they give a more safe option for them to basically score into the end zone. Unfortunately,
Evan Hughes, number 84, with a big D there. Lancaster have the disc back.
Really good effort by York.
Now Bleak. Lancaster setting up in what seems to be a weave. Evan with a big grab there. And a nice around shot to Adam. ISO shot that goes just out of bounds.
This goes back to York.
The sideline getting very close there.
York swings it around the court, basically trying to find a more safe option for them so that they can still have the possession of the disc. Gives it to York, but gives it to Eamon. And a blade throw to Hart, who's conveniently in the end zone.
A very long point there. I believe it was York with the break as Lancaster started on 0, so York are up 3 points to 2 in a very, very tightly contested game.
Currently on the York line, we have Ollie Newton, who is also the men's captain, Rebecca Sparks, Anna Williamson, Daisy Cooper, and Rory Devlin. What do you think so far of the game?
Yeah, it's really, really tightly contested, really enjoyable to watch from a neutral, and I'm assuming from both Lancaster and York's point of view. Lancaster are about to get the disc here. DePaul seems to drop fairly short, and Dan picks it up for Lancaster. York in either a very, very poachy match or a zone here, which seems to do well as they manage to get the turn.
York's back on offense, gives a big swing to Daisy and a long shot to the end zone, and Anna catches it, and that's another score to York, and and the current score is
4-2 to York.
What a great performance by York there, basically having Anna, who was really, really free in the end zone, which gave Daisy the option to basically huck it down the court, and Anna catches it.
And another women's point coming up. So mixed alternates between having a team of 3 women and 2 men on the line, and then 2 women and 3 men. So currently there is 3 women for each team and 2 men from each team on the pitch. Ben Leake now with the disc for Lancaster. Looks for the swing to Ellie. Ellie gets it. Ellie back to Shauna.
York's pulling off quite a tight zone defense, which essentially, instead of marking one person, they mark a specific zone and try to basically force the Lancaster to throw it into the middle, where the middle blockers were intercepted.
Dan now with a disc. Looks for overtop shot to Ben Leake, who gets it. Bleak across to Ellie King. Ellie back to Bleak. York switch to match here, but Bleak has no one on Bleak. Shot to the end zone. And Dan Bailey nearly crashes into the spectators.
That's quite a usual occurrence in Ultimate Frisbee, where you crash into the spectators. Currently, York's in possession of the disc. An easy swing pass to Chloe, and down the line pass back to Chloe. Unfortunately, didn't really connect with Daisy, who was in the end zone, but there's a really, really good effort by York. Currently, York's back on their tight zone defense. Hopefully, they'll put enough pressure on Lancaster.
Yeah, and Bleak picking up the disc. A deep shot goes over the top, and back to York now.
This possession is back to York. A lot of very easy swing throws, which is quite safe, which is very crucial in.
Foul called. Foul called.
There's been a foul call on court. So the players will basically be discussing about it and coming to a conclusion.
So a foul uncontested there. I think there was just an issue with one of the Lancaster players stopping the York player from getting up the line.
Stall count goes back on 0. Good inside shot to Izzy. Let's swing it to Raf. Swings it back to Eamon. Quite a lot of gift goes as well, which is quite crucial in the game right now. Raf trying to find a safer option to throw. It seems like Lancaster having a wall defense. However, that wasn't enough, and York manages to score.
Yeah, York take a 3-point lead there, which could be vital, as it is now 5-2 to York. Do you think that reflects the state of the game fairly?
No, I don't think so. I really do feel that the Lancaster team is really putting a good effort trying to stop the offense by York, and I think they've done that quite successfully as well. Just unfortunately is that sometimes York is just happen to be in the right place at the right time, and that's how they score. Currently on the line on York's On York's line, we have Hart, Anna, Rebecca, Rory, and Ollie.
Brick has been pulled. York running a zone, or what seems to be a zone, with 2 chasers, 2 mids, and 1 deep. Bleak picks up. Reset to Adam. Down the line, but a bit of a miscommunication on Lancaster's part there, and it is a turnover for York.
This goes back to York. Tried to do it to Anna, but however, her defender just catch up with her. Swings it back to Hart. Unfortunately, there was some miscommunication with the York team as well. But it was a really good effort by them. So York's going back to their tight zone defense. Basically, you have the two offense in the.
Lovely up the line shot from
Lovely
Adam Page there to Ben Leake. Now to Evan on the edge of Lancaster's end zone there. And a really nice block by the York player.
Anna. Really good interception by York right there to stop the scoring throw. Oh, unfortunately.
A brilliant layout attempt, I must say.
Really, really good attempt.
Very committed, very nearly grabbed it. Lancaster with a drop, and it's back to York now. They go fast, give and goes.
Now.
And it's caught, but not in. Is it in the end zone? It is in the end zone.
So that's 6-2 to York.
Yeah.
Really good effort by York.
Yeah, they really took advantage of the turnover, getting the disc moving quickly. Lancaster were not ready for that sort of pace.
Lancaster put quite a lot of pressure as well, especially on York's zone defense. Lancaster was having quite easy throws down the court as well, putting a lot of pressure on the to chase of the York zone defense.
So it is a men's line now with 3 men, for Lancaster being Dan, Adam and Charlie, and the 2 women being Shauna and Anya, for an 0 point now again for Lancaster. Disc taken by Adam, swings it to Brayshaw. Brayshaw back to Adam. Nice open side shot to Dan. Who finds a really nice shot to Shauna. Charlie now edge of the end zone.
Miscommunication there by Lancaster. This goes back to York. Swings it to Chloe. This goes to Izzy. Long shot, and that's a score by Ollie Newton. And that is 7-2 to York. What a lovely score that was. Basically jumping right into the end zone.
Yeah, York's pace after the turnover has been exceptional so far, and Lancaster are really struggling to deal with it.
Currently on the York line, we have Oliver Hart, Rebecca Sparks, Daisy Cooper, Alan Williamson, and Rory Devlin.
For anyone just joining us on Rose's Live, URY or Bailrook FM, hello, you are listening or either watching to Rose's mixed game. It is currently 7-2 to York as, Bleak puts up a really nice hammer for Lancaster, which Evan just couldn't catch in the end zone.
That was a lovely catch, nonetheless. This goes back to York, swings it to Daisy. Daisy tries to do the underline shot, didn't work out. Swings it to Hart. Swings it down to Rory. Unfortunately, that hammer throw just didn't connect with
Yeah, the hammer
Anna.
was slightly overcooked and Lancaster have a chance again to hold.
It's a really good option offered by York.
Hello, Elijah. How are you? What's
Carly.
the score? I've just arrived.
It is currently 7-2 to Lancaster. That was Sam there, a very important player for Lancaster who's sadly been a bit ill and will be featuring tomorrow in the outdoor open game though. Lancaster currently with the disc, Bleak on the disc, swings it to Evan. A big knifey shot caught by Anya in the end zone. 7-3 and spikes it ferociously on the ground.
What a lovely blade throw that was. And given the fact that blade throws are really risky because they're quite hard to catch, that was a lovely attempt by Lancaster, and it paid off.
I think that makes it 7-3.
Yeah, 7-3, yeah.
So Lancaster will have a D point now and look to break. Do you want to run us through the O-line for this York point, Nick?
Yeah. So on the York line, we have Eamon, we have Chloe, Daisy, Izzy, and Raphael. Which this goes back to Raphael, swings it option, gives it to Eamon, swings it to Daisy. Chloe, who are just so happy to be right there, catches the disc, swings it to Raph. Raph trying to look for options, trying to cut through the court. However, that overhead just didn't connect well.
Yeah, Scuba didn't connect, so Lancaster have a chance to get a break now and bring the score within 3. Bleak is picking up the disc, and it looks like it is a diamond on Dan, so they are trying to isolate him in the end zone. Dan grabs it. Anya now. Back to Dan for the reset. Hammer to the end zone. That just goes over the top. There has been a foul called in the end zone.
For anyone who's not familiar with Ultimate Frisbee is a sport where basically calls are being made by the players itself, and they get to discuss and come to a conclusion to it, and it's also a non-referee sport.
It has been contested, so it goes back to the thrower.
York's tight defense is putting quite a lot of pressure on the Lancaster team.
For anyone that is unaware, Frisbee is a non-contact sport, so when both going for the disc, there is no contact allowed.
York's pulling off a really tight match defense, trying to cut the disc, trying to intercept the disc at any chance possible.
Shauna on the disc now for Lancaster. Looks for the upline shot. It's not there. Looks for the reset, but
And
it is
unfortunately, the disc
blocked
been
by
intercepted
York.
by Eamon from York. Really, really good game awareness and spatial awareness by Eamon.
Lancaster coming out in a 3-2 war, which is a bit more aggressive than the 4-1 wall, looking for a turnover as they're currently losing.
York trying to keep it safe by trying to swing it and trying to look for the easy options. Currently, we have Eamon who's being isolated into the end zone.
York very, very patiently attacking this wall here. There is no need for them to rush as they are currently winning.
Izzy with the swings. A little bit of the gift goes there. York's really taking their time, and it pays off.
And near cross shot, which makes it 8-3 to York, who have been very, very clinical, taking their chances close to the end zone when they get them.
Raphael did a little cheeky. Basically, what he likes to do is basically just stand in the end zone and just hope everyone just doesn't notice him that he's there, and that's kind of what happened in the recent score.
For anyone just joining us from Belrig FM, you are Wild Roses Live. We are currently watching the indoor mixed game, and it is currently 8-3 to York.
York's coming up with zone defense, trying to force this into the middle, where the middle people try to intercept it.
Oh, and a drop for Lancaster there. I mean, York get the turn, and Lancaster needs to try and get the disc back.
Olive the disc, tries to swing it to Hart, but the defender just catch up. So swings it to Anna, swings it to Rebecca, swings it back to Ollie. Down the line shot to Hart. Trying to find the under options. Swings it to Hart. Swings it back to Ollie, and back to Hart again, with Anna, who's isolated in his zone. Unfortunately, Anna just couldn't get that disc in time.
Yeah, you can start to see the fatigue setting in now with some of these throws. Just not being 100%. I mean, they're still brilliant throws most of the time, but some of them just an inch or two away from someone's hands. Bleak on the disc now, goes deep, and it is defended by York.
This goes back to York. Ollie swings it down to Rebecca. Try to find the downline option, which she does, and Hart scores.
Making the score 9-3 to York.
Really good movement there by York.
That is game, I believe.
And that is game. And York takes the second Frisbee game of the day. Wow, that was quite an intense match.
Yeah, 9-3, which maybe perhaps doesn't properly reflect the state of the game. York were probably a bit more clinical than Lancaster, but Lancaster were definitely a worthy competitor to York's pretty brilliant mixed team.
Exactly. We have the indoor opens match coming up. I believe it's half past? Yep, I believe it's half past, so stay tuned for that. We'll get to see
welcome back. We've got the men's indoor game now.
Yeah, just following on from the indoor women's Frisbee game, which York won 13-0, and the mixed game, which York won 9-3, I believe.
Yes, I think so.
Welcome to any listeners on Roses Live, URY, or Bale Rig FM. We are getting underway. I will talk you through the Lancaster team quickly. We have Evan Hughes, number 84, Dan Bailey, number 99, Charlie Brayshaw, number 7, Ben Leake, commonly known as Blake, number 7, and Adam Page, number 11, who fields the disc for underpull. An isolation shot to Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey looked for a shot at the end zone. It's not on, so he resets it to Adam. Adam around shot to Evan. Evan, a high release backhand to Dan. Looks for the swing, it's not on. Looks for the ISO.
Oh,
and
a
it's a
lovely
big
block
D
by
York.
Paul. So that's a turnover now. York will pick up the disc. On the York line, we've got Ollie, Rory, Eamon, Raphael, and Paul, who's just got the disc. Oh.
Pick called, so the disc will go back to the thrower.
Okay. Okay, just setting their force. Okay. Disc is back in. Okay. Oh.
Blake with a big D. Hammer over the top to Dan Bailey, who toes it in. 1-0 to Lancaster.
Okay, that's the first score down then. Okay, we've got a new line for York now. We've got Oliver Hart, 17, Oliver Newton. We've got Raphael. We've got Eamon. And we've got Will.
And there is one change on the Lancaster line. Evan Hughes coming off for Sam Boswell, and it is Sam's second year at Roses, I believe. He didn't compete last year, but he competed the year before. He was in Australia playing Frisbee over there, but he was on a gap. He was not on a gap here. He was on a year abroad.
Yeah.
And he is back this year.
Big cut from Will. Oliver fakes. Oliver's got the swing to Ollie. Lovely catch by Raphael. Another swing back. Oh, and a great grab by Raphael. York are swinging to get through the zone, which is being quite tight by Lancaster.
Oh. Big block by Sam Boswell there from the zone. The zone looked very, very tight. York struggling to break through, and Lancaster with the disc now. Boswell with the disc, looks for the up-the-line shot to Brayshaw, and it is a good D by York.
D.
Dan Bailey with a big grab. Bleak on the disc now, up the line to Brayshaw. Brayshaw with lots of space. Hits the blade to Sam Boswell, and it is called out.
Lots of turnovers in this point. It's very exciting. Ollie's looking for the long. And he gets it over to, unlucky.
Yeah, just overcooked at overhead a bit. Adam Page with this now, Lancaster back on offense. Reset to Dan Bailey, around to Ben Leake. Bleak on the disc. Around shot to Adam. Not making much progress here, but an up-the-line shot gains him a few yards to Dan. Sam Boswell isolated in the end zone. Dan Bailey looks at a reset back to Adam, who returns to pass. Up the line to Sam Boswell. Reset to Dan, just inside York's half here. Hammer, lovely hammer from Dan Bailey. Sort of a scuba-esque hammer, which he's been practicing and training to Charlie Brayshaw. And that makes it 2-0 to Lancaster in this open game.
Yes.
For anyone who's just joined us in the open game, this is the third indoor Frisbee game of today. York won the women's game 13-0. York won the mixed game 9-3, and Lancaster are currently winning the open game 2-0, looking to make it so it is not a whitewash for York.
We've got a couple subs on the York team. We've got Lewis on, and we've also got Matt on. And we've got Rory, Ollie, and Raf staying on the pitch. Nice catch of the pull by Ollie to Raf. Looking for Rory. Oh, caught by Ollie, nice. Got a nice swing across to Raphael, who's looking for the long. Across to Ollie. Back to Raf. Back to Ollie. Up the line to Raf, who looks for Lewis. Back to Ollie. Ooh, nice. We've got zone defense being played by Lancaster, so lots of swings is the way York are going to get through this. Like across to Matt. Oh, an unlucky drop.
Yeah, a bit of an execution error from York there. Just dropping a catch. Adam Page on the disc now, Jack Strong, Lancaster on offense, trying to get a break. A lovely scuba, which is caught by Sam Boswell and called in. Spikes the disc, lovely shot by Adam Page. York were looking good against the zone there. Very, very patient play, but just a dropped pass caused a turnover to Lancaster, who caught the disc.
Yeah, they were very quick on that turnover to get it back to the end zone just for that score there at the end.
The D-line for Lancaster for this point is people I've already introduced, Dan, Charlie, Ben, and Adam, with one new player who is his first year at Rose, is Jack Strong. He's a fourth-year maths student.
Okay, York will be hoping to get this point on offense again. Again, Lancaster's zone has been very tight all game. So, oh, that was a lovely cut through the middle, which is what you want to look for when we're playing on zone off against a zone. Up the line to Raf from Ollie, and he'll be looking for the end zone pass. Over to Rory, who catches it for York's first score in this open indoor game, which brings the score to 1-3 for York. And York have called a timeout. Is it one timeout per team?
Yeah, we don't know. One timeout would make sense because it's only a half-an-hour game, so one timeout, I think, and it can't be called in the final 2 minutes of the game.
So York have called their timeout now, and they'll be talking about what they can do to move on with this 2-point behind they're on currently. Each team will have one timeout they can use when they want to, and it will be a 2-minute timeout. While we're here, I'll run you through the York team a little bit. We've got quite a few returners, but we have got a few people who this is their first Roses for York Ultimate, which was Matt and Will, and everyone else has played on the Roses team previously.
Yeah, I think there is Jack Strong and Ed Chen, who might be getting who's not had a point yet this game, but they're the two first-time Roses for the Lancaster Indoor Open team.
Okay, we're coming out of the timeout now. York will be setting up defense. Okay, we're going to have a pull from Raphael. Okay, lovely pull.
Adam fields to pull. Inside shot to Dan Bailey, trying to break through this zone. He looks for the reset back to Adam, who gets it. Returns the pass. Dan Bailey with
a nice deep...
a big hammer, but a very nice block from Raphael there.
Yeah, so that's a turnover now. And York will be hoping to have quick offense on this. A nice swing to Eamon from Raphael. An intercept from Lancaster, but then a quick D from Eamon to give the possession back to York. Raphael to Will, to Matt, swings across to Eamon. Another swing from York, back to Raphael.
A very resolute zone from Lancaster here, causing lots of short swings from York.
Yeah, lots of swings to be expected when we've got zone, which is good for keeping patient when you're on offense and looking for those chances when they appear.
Lancaster turned their zone into a wall now for the end zone. Looks like a 3-2 wall.
A catch by Paul on the edge of the end zone, not quite in. It's tough to get past Lancaster's wall, but York will just be wanting to swing until they find that chance.
Yeah, Lancaster transitions into a 4-1 wall now, really trying to stop these shots into the end zone.
Unlucky.
And it causes a mistake from York. Lancaster taking their time going up to the disc. A diamond call, trying to isolate Dan in the end zone. Bleak over to Brayshaw now. Brayshaw looking for the line shot to Evan, which he gets. And then Brayshaw scores in the end zone to make it 4-1 to Lancaster. For anyone joining us on York Roses and Balerig FM, Roses Live and URY, welcome. The score is currently 4-1 to Lancaster versus York in the men's indoor ultimate Frisbee game.
Okay, we're about 10 minutes into the game.
It is currently Ed Chen's first point of Roses,
nice.
first ever indoor point at Roses. He is a second-year medicine student, and he has like some brilliant throws in his locker.
Okay. The pull has been bricked by York, which means Ollie will bring it up to the brick mark. Swing back to Ollie, up back to Oliver, and another swing back. Ollie's there as a reset. Oh, a great grab by Will. Back to Lewis, across to Oliver, who was looking for the long. Up the line to Oliver, Ollie. Across to Lewis. And Ollie's there again as that reset, which is really vital when we're playing against Lancaster's zone.
Yeah, York struggling to make any real progress against the zone, but they are keeping hold of the disc very nicely. Oh, they find a progressive shot.
Okay, great cut through the middle to Rory, and again from Ollie to Rory. Lancaster transitioning to a wall as York near their end zone, which will make it tougher for York to find those gaps to get the point.
A 4-1 wall. Really trying to stop any shots to the end zone.
York have got movement in the end zone to try and confuse Lancaster's wall and make sure they have to keep moving around, pay attention.
And a big block by the captain, Blake, who has previously played for GB under-20s Frisbee team. I think that's the only ex-GB player in the Lancaster team. Adam Page on the disc. Swing to Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey looking for something further forward. A hammer over the top, which is a really nice block by York's number 23.
Nice defense from Rory on York, getting that turnover. Up the line to Ollie, who will be looking in the end zone, but will keep the swing to Oliver. Back to Ollie. With a hammer in the end zone. Close.
Yeah, hammer just a bit over the top, so Lancaster have the disc back now, trying to maintain their 4-1 lead. Blake to Dan Bailey, looks for the up the line shot, it's not on. Looks for it again, it's not on. Hammer to Adam in loads of space. Down the line to Ed, who holds this very nicely. Pass across to Dan. And across to Bleak, who continues the disc's flow to Adam. Lovely fake, and then across to Ed. Ed to Dan. Dan looking towards the end zone, but nothing on, so just coming back, drawing York out, which they managed to do successfully. Some lovely give goes. Sam Boswell on the edge of the end zone now. Back to Adam. Just chilling on this disc, which they're happy to do as they're winning by 3 points.
This way, keep going.
Just keeping the disc. Dan Bailey now, Bleak. Lancaster happy to just keep the disc.
York coming out of that wall. We've got 2 players out of the wall now
Yeah.
as the disc works back up the pitch.
York trying to force a mistake or an unforced error. Loads of time on the disc at the minute for Lancaster. Happy to just keep hold of the disc, which they're doing. York managed to force the turnover after a long period of possession for Lancaster.
How much time?
Ollie Newton on the disc. Looking for that shot for Rory through the gap. Ollie's
Lancaster
back.
deploying their zone again.
Swing to Ollie. Up the line. Oh, not up the line. Swing back to Ollie. He'll be looking for Rory to come under. And swings across to Lewis. Cuts across. Across to Rory. He's looking back for Ollie for a give go. We've got a couple York players in the end zone, but York are hesitant to make those shots unless they know that they'll be successful.
Lancaster with a 4-1 wall now. Looking to stop any shots to the end zone. A scooper over the top,
And
towed
a
in,
score by
which makes it 4-2.
Oliver Hart from York.
York now only 2 points behind.
That was a long point for both Lancaster and York, so we'll see maybe quite a few subs onto the next line.
Yeah, Lancaster actually changing only two of their line. Their O-line for this point is Dan, Bleak, Adam, who were on in the last point, and Evan and Brayshaw have come on for Sam Boswell and Ed.
On the York line, we've got Raphael, Eamon, Matt, and Paul subbing on, with Ollie staying on from last point.
A really brilliant atmosphere at the moment in this game. Both teams bringing lots and lots of supporters. A nice big crowd for the Frisbee. Dan catches a nice ISO shot from Adam. Looks for the up line, it's not on, goes to around for Evan. Travel called.
Lancaster playing ISO offense.
Bit of miscommunication on Lancaster's part. And York with the turnover and a chance to break and make the difference to 1.
Oh, and at the line shot just about missed, which means there's turnover back to Lancaster. And York are setting up to defense on this ISO. Successfully from Raphael.
Yeah, really well contested ISO there by both players.
York are back playing against match defense now, which will mean more. Oh, and a score from York, from Raphael, bringing the score to 3-4.
Yes.
So just a 1 point difference now between York and Lancaster.
Yeah, York fighting really hard to come back into this, remaining patient against Lancaster's zone and wall, not rushing it and realising that they still have time to make a comeback here.
Yeah. And it seemed like when Lancaster swapped to match just then, York were a bit more confident in playing that offense.
Yeah, York definitely look a lot more comfortable against a match than they did against a zone.
York will be coming out on defense now after that point. With a nice
Evan
pull from
Fields
Ollie.
to pull. Zone from York. Ed grabs the disc. Over the top to Dan Bailey. Looks to the reset for Evan. Evan through to Dan. Dan to Bleak, just on the edge of the end zone. Goes back to the halfway line to Evan. Evan with the around shot to Dan Bailey. Through to Evan. Puts it up to Sam Boswell. Makes it 5-3. Really, really solid offense after a couple of shaky points for Lancaster there. Making it 5-3. Back to a 2-point game.
A nice quick point from Lancaster. Are the games, how long are they?
The games are half an hour. What time does it start? Half
Half
past.
past.
So I believe about 10 minutes. But the mixed game seems to be a bit shorter. I don't know how long they're playing.
We've not got long left, so
Yeah.
York will be wanting to get back these 2 points from the lead that Lancaster has taken. York on offense now. And Lancaster have stayed on
This is
a poach
no, it's a zone now.
zone defense, which is what York has been slowly working against. We've got a nice shot through the middle to Raphael, who's looking for the continuation, but we've got a swing.
Lancaster transitioned into a 3-2 wall now, stopping any shots to the end zone.
We've got an up the line pass to Raphael, who's looking in the end zone, swings it to Ollie. Oh, bit of a miscommunication there from York, so it's a turnover for Lancaster.
And Adam picking up the disc on the turnover now for Lancaster. In a vertical stack, a round shot to Charlie Brayshaw, through to Bleak, who's wide open. Not much on. Looks for the hammer to Dan in the end zone. Lovely interception by Raphael.
York back on offense, working hard, see if they can get this point in. Ollie's looking up the line, swings it to Rory. We've got playing against the zone from Lancaster again. Swing to Ollie, across to Rory. Which gets intercepted by Lancaster.
And a beautiful layout attempt from Charlie Brayshaw, sliding across the floor, but nowhere near the disc.
A good bid. Okay, York back on offense.
Yeah, Lancaster back with their zone again, and it has forced a mistake. And a lovely D from Ollie Newton.
Nice defense. Lots of turnovers in this point. Both teams working really hard.
Yeah, you just sense a bit of fatigue setting in for both teams after a lot of these players playing in the mixed game earlier,
Yeah.
which was very, very tightly contested. As Adam Page gets a block, and it's maybe the 4th turnover of the point,
I
something
think
like
so.
that. Dan Bailey walking up to the disc now in a diamond setup, isolating Bleak in the end zone. A lovely hammer and a
he
lovely
comes
grab
down
from
with the
Bleak.
disc.
Big spike, and he puts the ears to the crowd.
So that's
6-3.
6-3 to Lancaster. 90 seconds.
90 seconds from Oscar, but who knows if Oscar's correct there.
We're hearing 90 seconds. York have got their hand up. They want to play as many points as quick as they can to see if they can close the gap. Okay,
Adam Page with the pull.
across from Ollie to Oliver. Oh, an unlucky drop by the end zone. Back possession with Lancaster now. And a score.
Yeah, a lovely pop pass, making it 7-3?
I think so, 7-3 to Lancaster.
Yeah, they've just pulled away after what seemed like a pending comeback from York.
Okay. We've got some nice support for York on the sideline at the moment. York have called 10 again, hoping to get the point started quickly. Ollie fielding the pull. With a shot across to Rory. From Raphael to Ollie. And we've got a call of that being down. Depends who had best view of whether that was so accepted by Lewis, which means turnover back to Lancaster.
Yeah, just looking to see out the game here and stop York's whitewash of the indoor games. Oh,
Okay.
just out of reach for Ed Chen there.
Yeah. Okay, from Ollie to Lewis. Through the middle to Rory. From Rory to Ollie, who's looking in that end zone. Over to Eamon. And York are going to swing this through the middle. From Ollie to
a
Ralph.
laser shot from Ollie to Raphael there, seeing the space and exploiting it.
So that brings the score to 4-7 for the end of the game.
And that is the end of the game. So Lancaster successfully managed to stop the whitewash in what was a very enjoyable game, tightly contested by both teams. And we thank everyone for listening, whether that be on Roses Live, YRU,
Yes.
yeah, and Bailrig FM.
Yes.
Thanks for listening.